Loud. Are we on? Okay. Welcome, everyone. Today is Monday, the 27th of October, 2025. This is the Node Lifecycle Working Group weekly meeting. My name's Lucy. I'm one of the leads of the working group. As a reminder, although I'm sure you don't need a reminder, this meeting is subject to the code of conduct. Don't do anything stupid. With that, though, let's get onto the agenda. First off, introductions. So if you are new to the working group and you'd like to give a brief introduction about who you are and why you're here, feel free to do that now. I will take silence as no one wants it. Okay, cool. Then let's move on to the eviction request API follow-up discussions. Philip, maybe do you want to kick it off, and then we can start to go through each of the things bit by bit? Does that work with you?
Yeah, sure. I guess, yeah, we can start just talking about it, and if it's needed, I can pull out the cap and we can go through the API if we need to. Yeah, so we have like a couple of points in the agenda where we deferred a discussion about like some features of the eviction API, eviction request API, or like some questions we have. So I would like to go through these and like just answer them so we can maybe like make the future agenda more clear. Yeah. So first, although we don't have like some folks who maybe edit these questions, but I guess like we will go through these either way.
We could always, we can always also prioritize ones where the people are here, just so that we can make sure that we have the full context. My only concern with is when we do ones where the people aren't in the room. We've had it before where we've missed context and then misunderstood. But yeah.
So if you want, we can start with yours, your points.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let's maybe start there. So maybe the first thing is, how do we achieve communication between evictors and interceptors? What the heck do I mean by that? I mean, for example, as an evictor, I want to get rid of this pod, and I have contextual reasons for wanting to get rid of it. Maybe I want to get rid of it, and the context for that is not that urgent from my business's POV. It could be, oh, I want to like do a upgrade on the host eventually, this sort of thing, or like I think I can get a better placement. On the flip side, I could maybe have context of the host is bad, like it's got to go, and that could impact the decision an interceptor could make about how it handles an eviction request, right? And right now, this is at a technical level possible. You can use annotations and things like this on the eviction request to say, hey, I'm an interceptor, I'm this one, and I think this. But there's no standardized way of doing that. And I'm wondering if we even want to set a standard. I don't think we should have anything like structured or like take that much of an opinion, but maybe at least like just a base standard of this is what signaling looks like might make sense. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, so like originally, like it's the main intent is like or as it is today, the main intent is defined like by the type of the like evictor. So if you are getting like from the descheduler or like from some node drain logic, then you might guess from the type, but I guess you are right. Like there could be even like when you are doing the node drain, there could be different types of drain, and like there could be like different types of like evictions.
Exactly.
And yeah, and this goes also together with like we have introduced like the type of the eviction, and like we don't have like other types than soft as of today, but there could be more in the future. So this could also like signal like what kind of eviction this should be. But I guess it will still not give you the reason behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the type would be like good in some scenarios, like when where we, for example, you have a spot VM and you want to evict pods like very fast, then there could be under the type there could be also, for example, a delay or I mean like a deadline
Mhm.
for the eviction, like where the interceptors should react in some reasonable manner to this like to this harder eviction. But yeah, but we still don't have the reason. So this is like some like two signaling points we have, which is the like yeah the type of the evictor and the type of the eviction request. And I suppose it would be good to have some kind of uh, like for example adding some reason like programmatic reason to the eviction request, like why is it evicted.
Mhm.
So like yeah, I don't know like if we should like have more structure, like anyway there is always the are the conditions on the eviction
Yeah,
object.
my
Yeah,
worry with structure is we're already seeing concern about how complex this standard is, and we have more structure. We've just made it even more complex. Um, so at least in my view, like at most, what I would want us to do is set like a standard for the annotations themselves. Um, at least in revision one. Maybe in the future we like beta eviction request and it goes really well, and then users are still saying like, the annotations are fine, but I want an actual structured way. Then we do that in its own thing. But I would very much hesitate to put it in structure today. But I wouldn't have an issue per se with us saying this is the form an annotation from an interceptor should look like. Um, what is it? An annotation from an interceptor should look like to pass contextual information, not from an interceptor, sorry. This is the form an annotation from an evictor should look like to pass conceptual information to interceptors. But that's, I think, at least for me right now, I think that I'm just structure itself. It's not definitely not for this iteration, and not in this cap. It would be future cap stuff if we want that. But I think just annotations themselves would need to prove themselves before I see the value there, you know? But that's just me.
yeah, I suppose that sounds reasonable. Like maybe we could give like some guidance like how it should look like, and to do the because yeah we still don't know like who wants to communicate like which kind of information to whom, and like this is hard for us to like to guesstimate. So even if we introduce a field, like there could be like some components that might need more information to put there, and they would use some different like some insane and encoding in a single string, and maybe we don't want to support like propagate such ideas. Yes, so I agree with Lucy. Like maybe let's write some guidance, like how it should look like, and then we can like analyze these and like improve on that, like in the future caps.
Okay, I'll take an action item versus myself to write like an initial plan. Oh, my keyboard's in Japanese. Let me fix that. At me, here we go. To write initial draft of a potential standard for how annotations for signaling could look. And then if this is too much for the main cap, we can always split it into its own thing, almost like a mini cap. Although getting attention on that will be a nightmare, but you know how it is. Uh, loose.
Yes, like since this will not impact the main API, it will. I think we can tag it alone in the main cap, and then like we will most likely like write something like when we are doing the documentation or blog on or something on that, so like people actually like know what to use.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Does anyone else want to come in with their comments on eviction request before I pick another one of mine up? I will take silence as consent. The next thing I wanted to bring up, and I know we had a discussion about this on the CAP itself, is termination grace period. And I get it. It only has an effect when the eviction request is not being updated by the interceptor for the termination grace period. I get it. That's fine. My concern is that the half an hour maximum right now, I could realistically see an incident, like even at Uber, where the interceptor stops working for over half an hour because of some deep-seated infra issue, whatever, some annoying dependency. I would prefer if we could push this to 24 hours. Um, I think half an hour, at least for me right now, I think that just half an hour is too little. And I get why we have it. It's just, I could easily see someone coming back in here and saying, "Hi, guys, we had an incident because we couldn't make termination grace period seconds more than 30 minutes." Um, yeah. Philip,
Yeah,
you're on
so,
mute.
yeah, so just to make things clear, you are talking about the well, like the heartbeat deadline seconds we have today.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is like a difficult thing to actually come like to a solution like which will work for everyone. And yeah,
I know. I think that we need to make sure that I don't, maybe I've missed something, but I don't see the value to K8s that it is changing from moving it from 21,600 up to 6 hours up to 24 hours. Um, on the flip side, if I look at like incidents within companies I've seen, I'm sure you've been seen many incidents. I can point at lots of them that lasted longer than 6 hours. And imagine if you were in one of those and suddenly you had to panic that all of your eviction requests are just going to start continuing. Um, is this desirable behavior for a user? I don't think it is, honestly. Like as a user, okay, as if I was a user who was just starting to use eviction requests and I've just spun through the docs, like skim reading it, like most users do, I would say it's a surprising behavior to me that my interceptor is progressing without my involvement, and especially at such a quick pace, at least for me. But maybe I'm missing something. Is there a value that we're getting from 6 hours that we do not get at 24 hours?
okay. So like if we are talking about the maximum, which is like the 6 hours today, so I don't see like a big issue like of incrementing that to 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like the main still like the main decision point is like what should be the default value,
Yeah.
because yeah, the thing is like we like yeah, like today we are expecting that like all of the components will basically use the same default like in the beginning,
Yep.
because it's hard to like synchronize like who should do the what, and maybe leave like the tinkering like on the users of these components, so maybe they can like flip some flag or something to like give more time,
Hmm.
and it would depend on each component. So yeah, and like we need some like responsiveness, because like one of the worries is that someone will not want to implement an interceptor and basically just add like some like couple of fake interceptors that are taking like insane long time, and then basically it would work as a like a total block of the like of the whole process.
I mean, maybe, but my follow-on is they could just do that with a finalizer today. And also there is some level of they could also achieve that by just having an interceptor that keeps heart beating without doing anything. And the final level of that to me is if you break it, you buy it. You're muted.
Yeah, I guess yeah, you make a good point. Like it's not like it's not like a the best like
We
it's not a security feature like
And it's
yeah.
just we do try, I think, in the Kubernetes APIs to steer users down the right path, and I think that's a good thing. To be clear, um, but we can't. Even if we were to get really restrictive, we can't save users from themselves. We've never been able to do that. And like I can think of many ways today how a user could abuse existing APIs to achieve this exact same thing. Finalizers, intercept that just heartbeats forever. You know, there. If there's a will, there's a way. And yeah, I just if we are going to add a constraint to to an API in K8s, I think we should have a good reason for why we're adding that constraint. Like, if we don't add this constraint, this bad thing happens. Or if we don't add this constraint, we're locked into this arch, or something like this, right? And maybe that's just yeah, I'm maybe that's what I think is not particularly strong on this field right now. But that's just me.
Yeah, I feel like this is more like an incentive for people to like implement interceptors well. So they know like there is a deadline and they need to tend to like to the object, or I mean to the whole process and like interact with it. Like
Mhm.
if we like don't add like any constraint, then it will be like basically an other PDB.
Remember as well that once because the next thing I was going to say was it's we can just go with 24-hour max for now, and if we decide in the future that we don't want to time box this, we can change it in a future API, but back compat will kill us on that, because the back compat behavior of your progression after 24-hour or however long in heartbeat deadline seconds, that might become a problem with Arch. I don't know. Um, I could see it. You know how it is. The moment we release an API, we are locked in.
Yeah, but we still have like some time, like since when we release alpha, I suppose like the graduation of this API will take a long time. So like maybe we can go like with
Yeah,
like some like mid values, or like I
yeah.
don't know,
I think.
and then we can like gather feedback from like the components using it
Yeah,
from the drainers, and see like what like people are actually like what issues they are running into, and then maybe we can bump the values like when we are going to like beta or GA.
yes, that's fine. I think yeah, I have. I think let's push it to 24 hours max for Alpha One, and then I think I'm fine with that. And then let's see what the signal we get in Alpha One is. You know, that seems like a good idea. Okay, cool. Uh, Okay, look, I have another one here, but I really does anyone else want to say their part about eviction request API? Okay. I tried, okay?
No, I need to review it again offline. I think you can go ahead, Maisie. Yeah,
Okay,
I
well,
think I need to take
Yeah,
another pass on the document.
Ryan,
and
this one might be relevant for you as well, though. This next one I've just pasted in, which is how do we tie together the eviction request KEP and the graceful node shutdown or specialized lifecycle management KEP into a holistic plan? How do we say this is how this is generally how SLM will use eviction request as part of its complementary feature suite. I don't think we've really written down much about this. And it is something I've heard from Arch folks like, where's your plan?
Yeah. No, we need to. I think that so it's a really important point. I think that's kind of where like we wanted to. So like we wanted the eviction request to sort of move independently because we knew we needed it. And then we know like with the node lifecycle stuff, we know we need that too. And then I think where we want to go to next is like the thing that ties how everything ties together. So I think like with what I was hoping to do with SLM is to at least I think where it's going to go is like we at least where I'm taking is with the conditions, and then I feel like from there we can start tying some things in because I think like we need like to have I think there's still those the missing pieces, which is like if we don't have some of the observations of a node, I think it's hard to then build the abstraction that we were all thinking of and we want, which is like that API that ties together eviction and the node maintenance and everything. At least that's what I'm thinking at this point.
Philip, go for it.
yeah, uh, like yeah, I agree with Ryan, but I think there we need to make like, a couple of distinctions first. So like the thing like we are doing with SLM, like we will like need to tie it like with real examples. So like what some other projects would like to like have what kind of states and how they are like, basically doing the life cycle of the node. and so we need to point out like what we would like to or what the community would like to use. And like if we are introducing some APIs or something new, like we also need like some reference implementation in Kubernetes. And originally, like this was the node maintenance cap, which basically does the node like or the kubectl drain declaratively. And this was planned like to be used in some capacity by the graceful node shutdown.
Yeah, we need some right, we need some things to tie it together. I think so like kind of where I am thinking, Philip, is like the we like with this node maintenance API, and like there's a lot of good examples of it out there. And I think the what like I guess what I'm trying to say is that to tie together eviction and the node maintenance API, I feel like we need to have the piece in between, which is like those like what are we going to like how are we going to all make observations about what's happening with the life cycle, of our objects. And I feel like that's what I was trying to target SLM, is the thing that's in between the node maintenance and the eviction. And the examples of this is that like was like when people are doing these things now, like they're writing their own APIs independently. Um, they're sort of doing this like in that they're either creating CRDs or they're making annotations, or they're even using conditions on nodes today. Like I think the use cases are actually they sort of overlap in some ways. But I think we need to I mean I do agree with you. We need to have these examples, and I'll add them into SLM. I think there is overlap, but I think there's room for both. I think that's where I'm going with this, is that I think there will be an abstraction for like doing node maintenance because it's complicated. On top of where like I'm going with SLM. If that answers that answers your question.
Yeah, I just want to preface this. I have to leave in a few minutes, so sorry about that. But yeah, I want to conclude. Like the thing is like yeah, I understand like about like the defining the states and everything. But one of the things is that like if we like do not bring like any reference implementation or like API like into Kubernetes, like there is not much like we can offer like to the community. Um, Even if we like define like some like best uh, like best approaches to node maintenance, like what how the conditions should look like, or what uh, like state like should be stored in the node. Like there is not like much like you can do to actually like for the like to basically force the community to use it. Like basically they would have to like first find this information and then use it on their own. And like if it does not bring them like any value, then it will like be like hard to like for this feature to be adopted. And like if there is some interaction with the Kubernetes, like if we bring some new features that they would be using, then it like yeah then it will like the adoption story will be much better.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I guess so. I guess what I'm saying is the thesis for SLM was that people are building their reference architectures and have. Some people do it on the node, but many people don't, because you can't really extend the node API today. And so I guess what I'm arguing is that I think CRDs as an option are are actually sort of a reference architecture for this, because it's just that we can't extend the node today. And so that's sort of the gap. So people go to CRDs. And so those things that people are doing to like extend the API, they're just doing it on a different object. So I guess like what I'm saying is that those reference architectures, a lot of them that are being pointed out for node lifecycle, I think they are actually, um, or what I'd argue is that many of them are can be reference architectures for what we want to do on the node. It's just, there's no way to do it today on the node. There's no way to extend the API.
Yeah, if I can add the last word, and yeah, like I guess you are right. Like there are like CRDs or like many components that are like building on top of the node, like having their own like APIs. Um, like but like the thing is like we like if we even if we just bring out some API that's standard for everyone, like we need to bind them through some contract, and the contract has to be useful like for multiple components that are maybe not even like in the same org or like the same in the under the same like organization or components, so they can interact. Like, and if then that contract is useful like to all of these components, then like they will start using it. But I think like yeah, that would be a one way, but the other way is like having like some reference implementation in Kubernetes, as I said before.
Okay. I mean, I'm trying to understand. You think that the node, like having a node API we'd want to come first before having something like we're talking about with SLM? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like this is more complicated discussion. Sorry about that, but yeah, like I guess like yeah, we need to analyze the problem, but the solution itself is still not clear. Like if we bring like new conditions, new state, new statuses, new controllers, so this will come like from the analysis. And yeah, sorry about that. I have to drop out. Maybe we can continue the discussion next week.
Let's defer this to next weekly, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
Have a good
thank
one,
you.
Philip.
See you.
Okay. See you. Okay, Ryan, do you want to talk about SLM? I know it's only us three, but it's your call whether you want to do it now or not. I'm sure people
Yeah,
watched it.
yeah, no, that's fine. I'm happy to do that.
Cool.
Would you be able to give me
Yeah. No, I'm not giving it
all
to
the
you. I am.
solutions? All
There you go.
right, thank you. Let me see. Okay, there it goes. Okay. Um, yeah, I think like so yeah, we should continue the discussion which we just had next week. I mean, I think like I think what the other thing I wanted to say about this one is that I think where I'm going with this is that I think there's a lot of I don't know, my perspective is that there's things that are there's something that's just missing on the node today. And I think that's um what I want to do is it's about collaboration, meaning like getting as many controllers as we can working together. Because I think today, like what's the biggest challenge is like we have I mean, you even talked about Lucy, you guys that have something at Uber and we have something at NVIDIA. And I mean, I've heard countless people talk about how they have different solutions for these things. And then we heard from the scheduler folks in terms of what they want to do. And I feel like what we're missing is like some observations as to like what's currently happening. We don't even know what's happening with a node in its current state. It's very unclear. We just have ready and not ready today. And it seems like there's something missing there. There's something left to be desired. So anyway, I changed or at least added and refined some of the conditions that we had talked about. So I'll go through those again. So this is the definitions: ready, not ready. These are um so like today, this is the definition of the node is healthy and ready to accept pods, and then not ready is node is not healthy and is not accepting pods. Um, So the first one condition that I was thinking about here is schedulable. This is node is not accepting new workloads, and then unschedulable the node is um, not accepting new workloads. So the node is core. So this one is interesting because I it does conflict with the first one here, which is not ready a little bit, and that um you can have, and even there's even more conflictions. Like there's even the like there's you can set spec. I'm thinking the node spec or a few different ways schedulable. So this one's challenging, but I think this one's really important because we need a way to say like if a node is actually can accept workloads or not. It's like a really important thing that we sort of observe because one of the
One,
things like if we're going to be doing, yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the really tough things here, at least to me, is like we can have a node being schedulable doesn't mean that your workload is guaranteed to be able to run. It just means that the chances it's able to run are greater than 0%. But that can actually vary based on this is why this is such a tough problem, because the first thing I'm thinking now that you're talking through this is
Mhm.
schedulable means different things to different workloads.
Does
Ability
absolutely.
to run means different things, different workloads. But we are trying to push this into basically a big box of this is for every workload. Is it's so tough because part of me is like, is this a good idea? The other part of me is like, do you want a 200-page cap that will be rejected for being incredibly complex?
So let me answer that because so a reason I think these fit as node conditions is because right these are observations and that this is I your point is really important because it's very much up to the end user how you define these. Actually, every single one of these, with the exception of this one, which is what this is sort of what part of the problem is. These are defined and the definitions are solid. Like they're not. I right. There's no way to set ready and not ready today. Right. We have no way of doing it the rest of these, the idea is that somebody would have the ability to define these. And so the whole concept would mean that, like you just said, that we really don't know if what schedulable means, only that like it's actually an observation that this thing shouldn't be schedulable right now. I don't necessarily want it to like affect behavior, but more be like a controller saying, hey, look, this thing really should not be accepting workloads. It's like it's not supposed to. It's an observation. Doesn't mean like we're necessarily like trying to, enforce it. There's ways to enforce that. Maybe like the schedule we can plug into the scheduler here or something, but it's not there should be a way like there's already are ways like you can work around that. So this is just an observation.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Okay, okay. I think let's put that to one side because we could talk about it for the next 7 hours. Uh, sorry, and let's just continue through because I'm sure this will get picked up as well next week when people are here. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No, but it's an
if,
important
if
point though. I think
no one
like
else picks it up, I'll
oh go
pick it up.
ahead.
If no one
Oh,
else picks it
sorry.
up,
There was an echo. Yeah, this is an important point because I think I do like I do appreciate that like you said is that there are cases which I like we can't almost can't know, which is that sometimes pods belong or should be scheduled on a node. And so like what we have like these exceptions today. There's like you can even if you look at the existing infrastructure and how it's done and the existing APIs, the right? We have taints and we have tolerations. Like we have ways to block and then we have exceptions. And so like simply this is an observation that like when we like this node should be unschedulable. And that's going to be important when we make that observation because of later, because sort of we take a combination of observations and then we can make a bigger observation. So I'll go to the next one. So draining and not draining. So we're declaring that this we're saying that this thing not declaring we're observing that this node is draining and is in some sort of draining state. So we're removing workloads should be getting removed, and then not draining would be the other the opposition to the opposite state to this. So then the third one or the fourth one actually on this list the maintenance condition. So this is where if I were to take one observation, which would be like unschedulable, and then I would combine it with draining, now we can get to a point where a node is drained and it's unschedulable, right? So are we combine the observations into a larger one, and now this thing is in maintenance. And what does that mean? It means that whatever it is that we want to do to this node, it's in some sort of maintenance mode, so we should be free to do it. So that's how we can combine these things together. And then the other one was pending maintenance, and I think this was one of the ones that you had talked about, Lucy, where we want to. This node is a target for maintenance at some point in the future. It might, it's not currently under maintenance, but it's something that may be under maintenance in the future. Okay, and then the last one I had here was returning and leaving. This was one of the suggestions I think from the scheduler team. That was, how do we make how do we say like something is going to be returning, like the capacity is returning. And then there was also the requirement about the end states, right? We had there's multiple end states, right? Like, which is that something could be not returning. Like you're actually decommissioning this piece of hardware. This capacity is not returning. So returning, it's coming back. Leaving is going to be that the capacity is gone forever. It's, the thing's going to be unplugged or whatever and decommissioned or something. I mean, again, like it's open ended. It's meant to be like I could see leaving being used in a lot of different use cases, which is that this hardware is not returning for a while, so we're gonna say it's leaving. It needs to be rebuilt, right? So it could be returning, but we're probably going to delete the node. So that's maybe a better way to put it, is that the node object is going to be removed, returning, or if it's going to be leaving. And so that's like how you could use this. So that's kind of the point, is like I think there's several use cases wrapped in this, and I think people would use them in a bunch of different ways depending on what their what they need on the end with their end user situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's I have lots of thoughts, but I could go on forever. I'm going to defer most of my thoughts till next meeting while everyone's here. But a lot of them come back to what we were talking about before, and also just ensuring the API is future proof for a future where we would want to be able to signal on a more granular level whether a node is schedulable or not for different workloads. Just tying back to a lot of the stuff we've done recently, where we've started to treat workloads much more like pets, with DRA, with in-place pod vertical scaling, with all of this stuff around AIML as well.
Yep.
But I'm going to defer most of that till next time.
Yep, sounds good. I think so we can just push this all next time. I just wanted to make you guys aware of these changes, and then I think we can pick it up next time and this discussion, and yeah, let's see where it goes.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Great. Does anyone else have anything else for the agenda before we call it then?
I think we're good.
Yeah, we are recording. Don't worry. I wasn't that silly. All right, then let's call it there. Thank you all for your time. And
all right, thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.